Today, we're counting down the top 10 guns that shaped the most destructive war in human history. Their stories are brutal, unbelievable, so stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at these weapons the same way again. The M1 Garand stands as one of the most influential rifles in the history of warfare, not because it was the loudest, fastest, or most powerful, but because it gave every American infantryman a sense of rhythm and control on the battlefield. As a semi-automatic rifle in a war dominated by bolt-action weapons, the Garand created a different tempo of combat, allowing soldiers to fire repeatedly without pulling a bolt between each shot. This alone changed the psychology of soldiers under pressure, especially during intense engagements where milliseconds mattered. In the muddy fields of Europe, in the frozen forests of the Ardennes, and on the burning shores of the Pacific, the Garand became an extension of the soldier's breathing pattern, steady, repetitive, predictable, and strangely calming, despite the chaos around them. Its 8-round en-bloc clip produced the iconic metallic ping when ejected, a tiny sound that carried strange weight. For some, it meant danger as they reloaded under fire, and for others, it became a symbol of resilience, knowing they had survived enough seconds to empty a clip. The rifle was rugged, reliable, and resistant to dirt and moisture, qualities that saved countless lives in environments where rifles jammed easily. Soldiers admired its accuracy over medium distances, the way it handled recoil, and its balanced frame that allowed them to quickly shoulder it in moments of panic. With over 5 million units produced, the M1 Garand shaped the backbone of the U.S. infantry's identity. Soldiers often wrote home, saying the rifle felt like a companion, something that stayed with them through freezing nights, deep marches, and sudden ambushes. Even decades later, veterans would hold a Garand in their hands and remember the strange blend of fear, comfort, and responsibility that came with it. This wasn't just a rifle. It was a quiet, steady heartbeat in the middle of an unpredictable world. The Carabiner 98K, known as the Kar 98K, was the German infantry's trusted bolt-action rifle, crafted with meticulous precision to reflect Germany's engineering philosophy. It wasn't simply a tool. It was a symbol of discipline, structure, and technical perfection. German soldiers learned to maintain it meticulously, keeping its moving parts clean, even during harsh Eastern Front winters where machinery froze and metal cracked in the cold. The rifle's bolt-action mechanism demanded a rhythm, a slow inhale and controlled exhale between each shot, turning combat into something almost ritualistic. Soldiers who mastered the Kar 98K became calm under pressure, understanding that accuracy mattered more than speed. The rifle fired the powerful 7.92 by 57 mm round, capable of penetrating helmets, wooden barriers, and even light cover at surprising distances. The long barrel provided exceptional accuracy, making it one of the favored platforms for German snipers. Even ordinary infantrymen appreciated how stable and reliable the rifle felt in their hands, whether they were lying in snowy trenches outside Moscow or advancing through destroyed city streets in Western Europe. The Kar 98K also had a bayonet mount, giving it a dual purpose during brutal close combat situations where bullets ran low. Many German soldiers remembered the rifle as something more than a weapon. It was a constant during endless marches, harsh winters, and desperate defenses against overwhelming Allied forces. Even as automatic weapons grew more common, the Kar 98K's legacy remained tied to the idea of a soldier who moved with precision, patience, and discipline. Its role in the war reflects a story of engineering excellence, meeting the harsh reality of a global conflict. The Thompson submachine gun, known as the Tommy gun, carried an almost cinematic aura, but for the soldiers who used it in World War II, it was far more than a legendary icon. It was a lifeline during close-range combat. American paratroopers, Marines, and officers valued its devastating firepower in dense jungles, tight city corners, and chaotic raids. Unlike long rifles that demanded space and steady aim, the Thompson allowed soldiers to move fluidly and react instantly, giving them confidence when entering dim, unpredictable environments. Firing .45 ACP rounds, the weapon packed a heavy punch that could stop an enemy in seconds, a necessary advantage during sudden encounters where reaction time meant survival. Although the Thompson was heavy compared to later submachine guns, its weight gave it stability, allowing soldiers to control its recoil even during rapid bursts. The wooden stock and metal frame felt solid and durable, creating a reassuring sense of reliability when soldiers were drenched in rain, covered in mud, or exhausted after long marches. In the Pacific, Marines praised its ability to cut through thick vegetation and deliver overwhelming fire in ambushes. Paratroopers liked that its compact design let them drop into hostile zones without struggling to maneuver. The Thompson's distinct sound became recognizable on the battlefield, a rapid, deep chatter that echoed through forests and villages, sending both fear and comfort depending on who heard it. Even decades after the war, veterans described the weapon as having a personality, heavy, powerful, and always ready to defend. The German MP-40 was a submachine gun designed with practicality in mind, offering soldiers mobility, reliability, and a surprisingly smooth firing experience. Unlike earlier German weapons that emphasized craftsmanship and complexity, the MP-40 embraced simplicity, using stamped steel parts that were easy to mass-produce and maintain. It fired the 9mm round and had a controllable rate of fire, allowing soldiers to place short, accurate bursts rather than waste ammunition. One of the weapon's most recognizable features was its folding stock, which let soldiers move through trenches, armored vehicles, and urban debris without the clumsiness of a long rifle. Officers, squad leaders, and armored crews especially appreciated the MP-40 because it allowed them to defend themselves quickly if their positions were overrun. Soldiers often described the weapon as smooth, noting how its blowback system softened recoil and made it stable even during rapid fire. On the Eastern Front, where combat could shift suddenly from long-distance engagements to chaotic close-quarters encounters, the MP-40 became a trusted companion. The weapon wasn't perfect. Its magazine sometimes misfed if soldiers rested it on the ground, but those who used it often admired how light and responsive it felt in their hands. The MP-40 represented Germany's attempt to modernize infantry combat, giving soldiers something agile, efficient, and adaptable in a war that demanded flexibility. The Soviet PPSH-41 was more than just a submachine gun. It was a symbol of industrial determination and overwhelming firepower. Designed for mass production, the PPSH could be built quickly using inexpensive materials, allowing the Soviet Union to equip millions of soldiers even in the harshest periods of the war. When German soldiers first encountered the PPSH during the brutal winter battles of the Eastern Front, many were shocked by its rate of fire, which exceeded 1,000 rounds per minute. In close-quarters combat, Soviet infantry overwhelmed enemy positions with sheer volume, creating thunderous waves of gunfire that echoed across snowy trenches and ruined cities. The drum magazine held up to 71 rounds, allowing soldiers to unleash sustained bursts without pausing to reload. Its 7.62 by 25 mm rounds were fast and penetrated thick clothing, wooden barriers, and even light cover. Despite its aggressive performance, the PPSH was remarkably simple and reliable. It continued to function in freezing temperatures where other weapons jammed. The wooden stock felt warm in the hands during winter, a small comfort in an otherwise brutal environment. For many Soviet soldiers, farmers, factory workers, students who joined the Red Army with minimal training, the PPSH gave them confidence and a sense of power. It turned close combat into something loud, fast, and overwhelming, allowing them to charge through streets, factories, and trenches with unmatched ferocity. The British Lee Enfield No. 4 rifle was respected around the world for one core quality: speed. As a bolt-action rifle, it allowed trained soldiers to fire faster than almost any other competing design, thanks to its smooth bolt system and short bolt throw. British and Commonwealth troops could deliver up to 20 or more aimed shots per minute, creating a surprising wall of fire, even without automatic weapons. The rifle fired the .303 British round, known for its stopping power and long-range performance. The No. 4 was also incredibly accurate, making it ideal for engagements across open fields, rolling hills, and defensive positions where British troops often found themselves. Its rugged construction allowed it to withstand harsh climates from North Africa's deserts to Southeast Asia's humidity. The aperture sight gave soldiers a clearer view of distant targets, improving marksmanship during stressful moments when every shot mattered. Many veterans described the rifle as dependable and familiar, something they trusted during long nights of guarding positions or advancing through artillery-torn landscapes. The Lee Enfield's bayonet, particularly the spike style, added a psychological edge during close combat. The rifle became a symbol of discipline and calm under pressure, reflecting the steady, controlled approach of British forces throughout the war. The STG-44 was one of the most revolutionary firearms of the war, often considered the world's first true assault rifle. It emerged late in the conflict as Germany searched for a weapon that could bridge the gap between long rifles and submachine guns. The STG-44 fired an intermediate cartridge, giving soldiers the ability to fight effectively at both close and medium ranges, a concept that shaped modern assault rifles like the AK-47 decades later. The weapon's design allowed for controlled automatic fire, something crucial in the shifting battlefields of 1944, where mobility and rapid response were essential. Soldiers appreciated its versatility, noting that it allowed them to remain effective, whether defending positions or launching rapid counterattacks. The rifle's angled magazine, wooden stock, and stamped steel construction gave it a unique appearance that soldiers quickly recognized. Despite arriving too late to change the war's outcome, the STG-44 demonstrated how future infantry combat would evolve. Veterans who carried it described a sense of modernity, as if they were holding the next stage of warfare in their hands. The M1 Garand was a rifle defined by endurance. It wasn't elegant, and it wasn't refined, but it was reliable in ways that mattered most during the cruel winters and rugged landscapes of the Eastern Front. Millions of Soviet soldiers carried the M1 into battle, often with minimal training, trusting its simple bolt-action system to function even when temperatures dropped below freezing. The rifle's long barrel provided strong accuracy, and when paired with a scope, It became a deadly sniper platform in the hands of marksmen like Simo Hayha and Vasily Zaitsev. Its 7.62 by 54mm R cartridge delivered heavy recoil but delivered powerful results, capable of penetrating deep into enemy positions. Soldiers cleaned it with basic tools, sometimes even with improvised cloth or rope, knowing it didn't need delicate care. The wooden stock absorbed cold slowly, making it more manageable during harsh winter nights. Many Soviet soldiers, from young recruits to hardened veterans, spoke of the motion as something unbreakable, a tool that would function even when everything around them was falling apart. The Browning Automatic Rifle, or BAR, was the American answer to mobile firepower. While heavy and challenging to carry over long distances, it allowed infantry squads to lay down suppressive fire without relying on larger machine guns. The 30-006 rounds tore through cover and delivered devastating impact at medium ranges. Soldiers who carried the BAR understood the responsibility that came with it. Enemy forces often targeted BAR gunners first because of the weapon's influence on battlefield momentum. Despite its weight, the BAR performed reliably in mud, rain, and heat. In the Pacific, Marines appreciated its ability to overwhelm charging enemy troops. In Europe, its suppressive fire gave American squads the upper hand during assaults on fortified positions. Veterans described the BAR as a burdensome but trusted partner. Heavy on the back, loud in the ears, but steady in the hands when it mattered. The MG-42 was a fearsome machine gun that left a psychological mark on both friend and enemy. Its firing rate, over 1,200 rounds per minute, produced a terrifying sound, often compared to tearing fabric or a roaring chainsaw. This overwhelming barrage created panic among enemy troops, forcing them to stay in cover while German forces maneuvered. The MG-42's quick-change barrel system allowed crews to replace overheated barrels in seconds, keeping the weapon firing during prolonged engagements. It used belts of 7.92mm ammunition, delivering relentless waves of bullets that could cut down advancing troops or halt armored vehicles supporting infantry. MG-42 crews worked in coordinated harmony, each member knowing their role as they fed belts, changed barrels, spotted enemies, and controlled overheating. The weapon was so effective that many modern machine guns were based on its design philosophy. For German troops, the MG-42 represented both power and responsibility. For Allied troops, its roar signaled danger, forcing them to rethink tactics and approach routes. It was more than a machine gun. It was a symbol of the industrial, relentless force behind the German war machine.